And we are live. It is the MLB Strategy Show Wednesday, October 4th. Gonna be a good one. We're running those 4 games back from yesterday. I am Josh Engleman. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman. What's going on, everybody? Good morning. Hope you had some fun last night. Hope you had some success last night. I had a little bit of it. I got to 6th in the relay throw or whatever the hell it was called last night. The standard, I think it was still the relay throw. Got to 6th. I think I would have got 3rd if, I don't know, one of the dudes from the Diamondbacks didn't get thrown out on a steal at 3rd in the 9th. But either way, got to where I needed to be. So we're running it back again today. Very different slate than what we had yesterday. Pitching is a lot weirder. The ownership for pitching is a lot weirder. We're going to have a very different day. Teams that didn't look good yesterday look better. The best team from yesterday might be my least favorite team from today. It's going to be a fun one, but we got a lot of time to break it down. Shows coming up after this. We'll talk about them in a little bit, but first, hit that like button. Yeah, Jake, I ended up with like 80-something% glass now. If he would have just not given up that final 2 runs, I mean, he was just like single, error, single, error, walk. The Ks were there, but like that was just what a disastrous start when you know you're going to, like, if you knew you got 8 Ks from glass now, you would have been like, you would have loved having him, but every other bit of that was awful. But I was able to overcome the 80% glass now and save that a little bit. So yeah, 6th. Oh, I didn't know he got hit with a comebacker. Never, like, I didn't see any of that game. I was out. So I have no context for anything. Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Chris Johnson. Morning, Anthony. Oh, 3 walks after the comeback. Of course. That's even worse. I wish I didn't know that. I really do. I'll move some shoes. There we go. Saw a blank spot on there when I was looking at my camera. 3 walks after the comeback. I wish I didn't know that. I really, really wish I didn't know that. That's annoying as hell. Justin, good morning. All right. 60+ people in here. Let's get it started. First game up. We know how we're doing this. Rays and Rangers. 4.4 run implied total for Tampa. 3.6 for the Rangers. We've got Zach Eflin on the hill for the Rays. He is 8,800, currently projected for 28% ownership. On the opposite side, Rangers, 3.6 run implied total. Nathan Eovaldi on the hill, 7,800, projected for 18% ownership. Texas picked up the dub yesterday. Rays fighting for their lives today. They are the favorites, so we'll see where that ends up. Haywood, good morning. Let's start with Eflin, 8,800. I think that's the most interesting spot. 28% owned. We have him 26% top 2 pitcher. I had it at 22%. All at 24. That's probably easy enough, right? So I don't really love Eflin in this spot. He's okay. I had his real ownership around 22%. 28 doesn't seem crazy. Maybe a hair too high, but nothing wild. But I only have 9. 23% K rate to lefties, 29.5 to righties. Gives up a little bit more power to lefties, but doesn't really have any major power issues to speak of. So I don't mind that too much. But as we look at the Rangers, you know, he's going to see, based on the lineup that I have in right now, he's going to see a lot more lefties than righties. We've got Semien as a righty. You've got Adolis Garcia as a righty, and you've got Josh Young as a righty. They would be the 3 with the big-time strikeout rates. But for everybody else, we're talking about a 23% K rate guy and 6 probable lefties in this lineup. So I don't see the same sort of ceiling for Zach Eflin today that you could normally see if that was a little bit more balanced, or even if this was just like a regular season game. I don't mind him. I'll have a little bit of him, but I don't think he stands out in any major way. On the opposite side for Eovaldi, this one's a little bit more tricky, I think. 20% K rate to lefties this season on about 1,000 pitches, 25.5 to righties, gives up a little bit more power to the right side. There are some strikeouts to be had in this Tampa lineup. Most of it is at the bottom. You got Jose Siri and Pinto both north of 30% potentially. So I don't mind this spot for Eovaldi. I just don't know how long he's going in this game. And that's where it starts to get a little tricky. He might not be long for this one. Do we have an outs prop yet for him? We didn't earlier. So his outs prop right now is over under 4. My body gave up on saying 14. I wish I could rewind that for myself. 14.5 is the line. Even action on both sides where I'm looking on FanDuel right now. Like, we're not even confident he can qualify. Like, it's a 50-50 shot that he qualifies for a win. If you want to think about it there. But at 7,800, he's $1,000 cheaper than Zach Eflin. That matters. And more importantly for me, the Tampa Bay Rays are the number 1 team in the top stack tool for today. Well, number 2 in top stack, number 1 in top value, number 1 in stack score, number 1 in ownership. I'm neutral to the field on Eovaldi. He's got a 4.5 strikeout prop to the under. I'm a little bit heavier there. I think the lineup will play a really important piece for this spot. I'm hoping we see the outs prop shade higher. I'll feel a little bit better about it. But we have him 19% to be a top 2 pitcher. I have him 19% to be a top 2 pitcher. So I'm pretty comfortable with the evaluation of Eovaldi. 21% is where I thought he should be owned. I think him and Eflin should be basically the same ownership, but Eflin's getting a little bit more than I would have thought he would. That's where I stand on the pitching here. Very close relative to salary. That's the way that I see it. As we talk about the bats, I'm going to start with the Rays since I just talked about how they're the number 1 owned team. I don't think anybody's going to be surprised to hear that, I'm not going to be joining the public at the tippy top of this one. On my first run, I ended up with 6 Rays stacks, 9.5% ownership. But most of that ownership, once again, just like yesterday, although he didn't start, Junior Caminero, if he is a $3,100 third baseman, he will be, to me, the best Ray that you can get to. But I don't have all that much interest in this one today. Park plays down runs a little bit. I mean, 4.4 is still fine. It's a 4-game slate. You got to play somebody. But if 15% of the field is already here for Tampa, I'm just going to be lighter. And to be fair, I am lighter on Tampa in my data than we are. We had them 2nd and 1st. I have them 5th and 4th. But I think everybody kind of looks the same. The lowest top stack odds that I have today are 10%. The high is the Phillies at 17. We're talking about 7 percentage points across 8 teams. They might as well all be the same. It's a salary equation for today. But if the Rays are the chalk on a 4-game slate, it's going to be really hard for me to be over the field on Tampa. It's also hard for me to get to the Rangers, which just for another day in a row just scares me. We have them 6th in top stack, 8th in value. They're the least owned team on the slate, 8.5%. So half is owned as the Rays. Stack score matches up. I have 3 stacks and I have 6% of them. That is mostly Semien, Seager, Grossman, Garcia, those first 4 guys in the lineup. If Grossman is there in that 3 hole at 3,100, that will be helpful. But it's really hard to want to go to Texas against a pitcher that doesn't get touched up all that much in a park that limits runs, 90 park factor for scoring. It's a tricky game for me because all I see are this is the game I want to use to be different somewhere else. I'm already light on Eflin. I'm fine with Eovaldi. I don't find the Rangers to be all that interesting. But I understand why the Rays are getting ownership. I just don't think that following that ownership is the path for me. It's tricky, guys. It's tricky. But I guess if I'm ranking this game, it would be... Man, this is tough. I guess it would be Eovaldi, Eflin, Rays, Rangers. Because I do agree with the Rays looking good. It's just there's too many people there. So I don't know. I don't love it. I don't love it. I'm gonna take a sip of coffee. Thirsty. Damn, Humboldt. That's not easy to do. All right. Anything else for Rays Rangers? Does anybody have any Rays Rangers questions before we keep this one moving to game number 2? As you ruminate on those potential questions, I will let you guys know what we've got going on for the rest of today. And that is going to be NFL Strategy Show, 11 a.m. Laffy, Neil, talking to football. Week 5 in the NFL already. This is insane, man. Insane. That's not all we've got for today, though. Nothing late night. Obviously, we don't have any late night sports. However, PGA Strategy Show, 12:30. Ben Raza, Eric Lindquist, talking golf. I don't know what the event is, but I am going to search for it. Sanderson Farms? Is that what we've got going on Thursday? If it is, that's what the show's for. Pinch hit risk for Tampa Bay hitters. There's a little bit. Pinto for sure has a bit of risk. Let's see. Pinto certainly has the most. Probably not much anywhere else if this lineup is the one that gets in there. But Pinto would be the guy. Only way they would pinch hit for Aranda is if they brought in a lefty. So I wouldn't expect it. Yeah, I just don't know what the Rangers bats are so weird to me because it's not that I feel like they're that expensive other than Semien and Seager, but you're getting premier positions there. I don't know. It's just a weird scenario. Like I have the Rangers projected as a better team, more power. Something about their positioning is just like not allowing me to get there. Or maybe it's just the matchup, but I would have thought a road team would have looked a little bit better. Maybe it's just the run total. I just can't get there. Eovaldi has been terrible. The good thing is, if Eovaldi has been terrible, we don't actually have to get any points for his past starts. We only get them for today, so I don't have to care too much about that. All right, let's keep it moving. Twins and Blue Jays. Sonny Gray going for the Twins. 4.2 run implied total, 25% owned at 8,300. Okay. We'll dig into that one in a second. Jose Barrios on the opposite side. 7,600, 21% owned. I guess I'll start with Barrios. He's the guy that I actually have here. I like the price tag for sure. I have his real ownership right around that 21% mark that he has. We have him 21% to be a top 2 pitcher. I had it at 19. We want to call it 20. Seems like spot on. I don't have much to add here. There are so many strikeouts in this Minnesota Twins lineup. Very, very hard for me to want to go a different direction because of that. Now, Barrios, 24% K rate to lefties, 23 to righties. It's not like he's drowning in strikeouts. But if you're going to get any, it's going to be against this Minnesota team, at least based on the lineup that I have in now. And at 7,600, I think it's worth the shot. So I like Barrios as a value option. $700 more, we run into Sonny Gray here against the Blue Jays. And that's where we start to have our first talking point. Gray, 22.5% strikeout rate to lefties, 26 to righties. Really had no issues with power at all this year. 102 ex-ISO to lefties, 138 to righties. Ball just stays in the yard. Kind of scares me. But for Sonny Gray here, there's not a lot of strikeouts in this Blue Jays lineup. It's either extreme or it doesn't happen. You get the Kirk, Guerrero, Springer under 20 type guys, or Bichette at 20, or you get someone like Brandon Belt who's got a 30% K rate. That's where it starts to get squirrely. But Sonny Gray doesn't strike out lefties as much. And the two biggest strikeout threats are, two of the three biggest strikeout threats are lefties. That will help him. Okay, we got to talk about Sonny Gray because this is the guy that I'm not getting to. And I'm not getting to him because I'm getting to the Blue Jays bats. I always like to lean on Toronto from the power side. It scares me here against Sonny Gray just because he doesn't give up any power. We do have Sonny Gray's outs prop today at, drum roll, 14.5, juice to the over a little bit. So I might need to give him a little bit more playing time. I had him in just shy of it. I think the line started to move. So if that's the case, I think I might end up on a little bit more Sonny Gray, but I'm still going to get to the Jays, and I'm going to start with that explanation first. Fifth in ownership at about 13%. They are seventh in our top stack tool, but fourth in mine. But we're talking about a difference of 1.5%. So if you just want to call it 12, split the difference, it's fine. I think they're basically properly owned. But if I'm not getting to Sonny Gray, I'm naturally creating a spot where I can get some leverage and get to a team that I think has a ton of power. I project the Blue Jays lineup today with a 183 ISO. I'm going to assume that's the high mark for today. It is. So I have the Blue Jays lineup projected as the team with the most power. Now, it's 0.08 of a point or thousandths of a point ahead of the Twins. I don't want to overreact to this. But when you've got someone like Dalton Varsho potentially hitting ninth with a 210x ISO or ISO, that starts to matter. The low man for ISO is Alejandro Kirk. But like for a 3K catcher, I don't think that's crazy. I really like getting to Toronto because you're just praying. We're praying for the thing that they do the best. I expect the Blue Jays on paper to have the most power. But they're not getting they're fifth in ownership. There are 8 teams. So I like getting to Toronto. I'm going to do this once again. 39 stacks, 20% ownership. Big stand in the middle of this lineup. You get that flexibility from Biggio, who didn't help me yesterday. I believe Biggio was in my my lineup to finish 6th with a crisp 0. But I expect to get to Toronto a lot. They are my second most owned team as of right now. And the third most owned team for me is the Minnesota Twins against Jose Barrios, the guy that I have 20% of. I don't mind that at all. I'm happy to get to Minnesota. They are third in ownership at 15%, third in our top stack tool, fourth in top value. 190x ISO to lefties here. So we're going to be looking at Julien. We're going to be looking at Polanco, Kepler, Kirilloff, Wallner. Lots of tricky spots here for Barrios. So I definitely want to get to Minnesota in this one. I would be hard-pressed to not get there. I have 25 stacks, 16% ownership, so 1 percentage point ahead of Minnesota, or of the ownership. So I'm basically neutral. Minnesota coming off the 3-1 win yesterday, so they're looking to close out the Jays here. It's a game I just want a lot of. Like I've mentioned, I'll probably have a little bit more Sonny Gray than I have right now and a little bit less of the Blue Jays, but I'm going to be neutral on the Twins. I'm going to have a lot of this game. I really am. I'll probably be pretty close to neutral on both pitchers. I'm going to be over the field on the Blue Jays, and I'm going to be close to neutral on the Minnesota Twins. It's just a great environment. There's so much power, so much strikeout potential. Barrios is meh. It's all interesting. Ryan, I could absolutely ignore poor results. So much so that I will never even know that he had poor results. That's how much I'll ignore it. Yeah, poor results are baked into the projections. I probably couldn't tell you the results of anybody this year outside of like Ronald Acuna. And I talk about this shit every day. It's craziness. All right, let's rank this game. Oh, man. So, for me, I guess that's got to be Blue Jays, which is funny. Now, it's Twins, Blue Jays, Barrios, Gray. That is where I stand for my exposures. It's just a tough game. I mean, we got to think about it. Like, we have Barrios 21% to be a top 2 pitcher, but we have Sonny Gray 27% to be a top 2 pitcher. We're talking about 6 percentage points here, well within the margin of error to call this like a neutral play across either one of them. Everything's real. Like pricing is a lot cleaner today. I don't think there's a lot of like wiggle room for anything that you want to do. All right, 180 people in the house. Hit that like button if you haven't done it yet. Guys, if you have any Twins Blue Jays questions, hit me. I'm pulling up the sponsor right now. We'll talk a little owner's box. Do we have a contest yet? We do have a contest. Okay. They brought it down this week, folks. They brought it down, but you guys should still be signing up for Owner's Box. Let's get the screen up. Let's talk Owner's Box right now. They are the presenting sponsor of this show. Happy to have them. Happy to talk about them each day. What I want you guys to do is click the link in the description of this video. That would be a very helpful thing to do for right now. You want to know why? I'll tell you why. You guys should do that because you're going to get 1 week of our NFL Sims Max package for free. That's going to cover you for multiple slates. You'll be good for Thursday night football all day. So that's going to be for DraftKings, FanDuel, Owner's Box. You'll be good for Sunday, main slate, everything. DraftKings, FanDuel, Owner's Box, and Sunday night football. Plus, you'd still be around for Monday night football. You get to test out our brand new Sims tool. All you got to do is click the link in the description. Make at least a $10 deposit to Owner's Box. My recommendation, put in 500 bones. You know why? Because they're going to match that with $500. What an incredible way to start off a bankroll. Get upwards of $1,000 into your account. Now you're going to have to clear that bonus via Owner's Box. Trickles out at about a 5% rate. I've only got 158 of my 500 left. I'll have this done by week 6. It's perfect. Getting all this 500 extra dollars into my pocket. Love it. 125K kickoff, 25K to first. You should be getting in this contest, but I want to be very clear. This is not the same contest it has been for the previous couple of weeks. I think it will be soft, but it is not likely to overlay. And that's a little bit different. But still not a bad contest for you to get into. $15, max 150, 25K up top. Shout out to Owner's Box, guys. Click that link in the description. Now, bring back up the Excel sheet. Boom. We're back in it. 2 more games to go. Lost my Twitter page, too. There we go. Got my stuff moved around. I forget that you don't see my whole screen. You just see Excel. So when I'm moving stuff around, I always feel like you're looking at everything. Okie dokie. Milwaukee Brewers, Arizona Diamondbacks. 3.9 run implied total for the Brew Crew. 3.5 for the Diamondbacks. Freddie Peralta going for Milwaukee. 33% owned right now. That is the second highest mark on today's slate. Zach Gallen on the opposite side, 9,200, 14% owned. Folks, we have found the place that I am going for pitching today. We'll start with Freddie Peralta. Obviously, we know he has big-time strikeout stuff. 33% owned. Like I said, second most expensive pitcher behind Gallen on the opposite side. Second most owned pitcher. 26% K rate to lefties. Whew, this is crazy. 36% K rate to righties this season across 1,300 pitches. He doesn't give up any power to lefties. 128x ISO. He has had a little bit of trouble with righties, but maybe it's cosmetic. 192 ISO to righties. 163 x ISO. I think it's pretty clear. I think Freddie Peralta is the absolute best option on the slate for pitching today. I think he has the highest ceiling. I think the fact that he should see probably 5 righties is going to be beneficial to him. Now, Arizona does not strike out a lot, but at 36% K rate to righties, that transcends just about everything. And it's not like 26% to lefties is some like comically low number here. That's still aggressively above average. I have 64% of Freddie Peralta. That is basically 2xing the field. I think he's properly owned-ish in that 35% range. We have him 30% top 2 pitcher. I have it at 41. I am a big, big, big fan of Freddie Peralta today. I just love this spot. As I look at it, Freddie Peralta strikeout prop, 5.5. Pretty neutral right now. Outs prop is sitting at 14.5. I only gave him 15 outs, so I feel pretty comfortable there. Is there anything to make of Peralta's walk rate versus Arizona's aggregate walk rate versus righties? Probably. I mean, no different than like projecting strikeouts. Whenever you want to project what these rates want to be, it's A times B divided by C is the formula that you want to remember. So if you take Peralta's walk rate times someone else's walk rate and divide it by the league average walk rate, that is generally a good proxy for what you would expect in that particular matchup. Or, for example, we could do it a different way. Because this is because I have it on the screen. If Freddie Peralta strikes out at 28% and Corbin Carroll strikes people out at 28% and Corbin Carroll strikes out at 23%, you multiply those two numbers together, you divide by league average. That would be the expected strikeout rate for that particular matchup. Okay, so we talked Freddie Peralta. Big fan today. Now it's time to talk about Zach Gallen. 9,200, most expensive pitcher on today's slate, in a slightly difficult spot against Milwaukee because the park plays up power. But why is he 14% owned? Doesn't make a lick of sense to me. He's under-owned in a big way. I now have 50% of Zach Gallen. I think his ownership will climb a little bit throughout the day because we have him as a 24% top two pitcher. Out of the gate, that's 10% or 10 percentage points higher than his ownership. And it's not like 9,200 is crazy to get to. Is he a better play than Peralta? No, Freddie Peralta, dollar for dollar, is a better option. But I don't understand why Zach Gallen isn't getting a little bit more love here. And I'm going to be very happy to go here. We got to remember, this Brewers team still has a run total under 4, at least based on how I pulled it earlier today. Now, as we look at it, Zach Gallen on the season, 160 x ISO to lefties, 180 to righties. However, both guys, both arms, lefties and righties, 26% strikeout rate. I like that. Nothing wrong there. Zach Gallen strikeout prop, 4.5. Pretty sizably juiced to the over, minus 146. Zach Gallen, 15.5 out prop. Looks like he might be a little bit more likely to go deeper in this game than someone that's an extra out over the top of Freddie Peralta. That's what's interesting to me, folks. So, Tim, you said, isn't Eflin a much better play? I'd like to know why Zach Eflin is twice as owned as Zach Gallen. Twice as owned. Why? Doesn't make any sense to me. $400 difference. Rangers have a 3.6 run implied total. Brewers are at 3.9. Why double? Double's crazy. That's the big thing for me. That's why I'm not getting Zach Eflin. It's because Zach Gallen is out there. That's where I'm at. So I love Gallen. Love him here at that ownership. It doesn't make a ton of sense to me right now why he's as owned as he is. I am not all that concerned with the Brewers offense. Are there problematic spots here? Yeah, of course. Look, like any one of these teams can go crazy today, especially in a park that has 110 park factors for lefties and righties. But as I look at this, I think Zach Gallen is the most underrepresented pitcher for today's slate. I am going to have a very close eye on Gallen throughout the day. I like it, though. But what this is also going to do is relatively limit me in this game, but only for one of the teams. Milwaukee yesterday was very highly ranked. That is not what's happening here. And that's not surprising. They are 5th in top stack, 3rd in top value, 4th in ownership at 14%. This is the team I have the least of. I have 4 stacks of the Milwaukee Brewers today. I have 3% of the Milwaukee Brewers today. This is the team that I am getting to the least. This is the team I want the least. It's a little scary. I'm not going to lie. But I think Zach Gallen's good. And I really don't, like, if I'm not going to get to a team, I'm okay with it being the Milwaukee Brewers. Milwaukee, by the way, dropped the first game, 6-3. I think they're going home. I don't care if they're the favorites in this one. I'm banking on the Diamondbacks being a little bit better. And that's why I'm getting to at least a little bit of Arizona. Had them yesterday, going back to it today, but not in a big way, in a neutral way. I have 21 stacks, so that, I'm happy for that exposure, but that's neutral to the field. 9% for me, 9.5% publicly. They're probably a hair over-owned, but you do get to squeeze out at least a little bit of benefit of the 33% ownership going to Freddie Peralta. So I'm happy to get to some Arizona because of Peralta's ownership, but it's going to be so much harder for me to want to get to Milwaukee because I don't get the benefit of any leverage against Zach Gallen because people aren't going there. So as I rank this game, it's Peralta, Gallen, Diamondbacks, Brewers. That's the easiest one I've done so far. Oh, man. Coffee just doesn't stop being good. Doesn't stop being good. All right, we're at the bottom half of the hour here, 10:30, and we're zipping through this, but it's an easy slate to talk about, as weird as it sounds. So much of it is just ownership, and now we're going to get into the biggest owned play of the day. 47% owned Aaron Nola. Nola, like I said, 47% owned. This is crazy. He's 8K today against the Marlins. Braxton Garrett going for Miami, 6,700. So let's start with Nola, the chalk pitcher for today. And so much of the reason that he is chalk is that he is not priced correctly. 24.5% K rate to lefties, 25.8 to righties. Now, he does give up a little bit of power. Maybe it's phony. 205 ISO to lefties, just a 165 X ISO, 168 to righties. He's got a 165 ISO. He's probably good to give up like one home run today. You hope you avoid it. Strikeout matchup looks fine. Aaron Nola grades out really well. I think he is the co-best pitcher. Like, if you want to go to a combination today, it's very clearly Freddie Peralta, Aaron Nola. Those are the first two guys up by far. I'm lighter on Nola than the field. If he's 47%, I have 23. I think his proper ownership is in the 35 to 40 range. So it's a little high. So I'm going to end up with a little bit less. But that is not me trying to say that he is not awesome. The price is perfect. But I'm playing a game against 11,000 other lineups. So the best thing might not necessarily be the best thing. That's one of the dumber ways that I'll ever say that. But you guys know what I mean. So I have 23% Nola. We have him 32% to be a top two pitcher. I actually have him at 37. So I'm a little bit higher. Call it 35. Split the difference. He's just a hair over owned because of his price. If he were priced like Zach Eflin today, he might only be 27% owned like Zach Eflin, but he'd look a lot better. That's for sure. He looks a lot better than Zach Eflin at 8K. He would look like he looks better than Eflin no matter what, even if they were at the same price. So please play Aaron Nola. I have no qualms with it. He looks easy to get to. However, we also have Braxton Garrett on the opposite side. He is the value pitcher for today, $6,700, $900 cheaper than Jose Barrios. But I like this one. He's 14% owned, so he is owned like Zach Gallen. But that makes some sense to me. I don't expect Braxton Garrett to be going like ultra deep in this game. That would surprise me for sure. Miami obviously trying to save their season in this one. Garrett's outs prop, 14.5, juiced to the under. Minus 128 to the under 14.5 there. So that's a little scary. Meanwhile, Nola is at 15.5, juiced to the over. I don't mind going to Braxton Garrett for the value. I understand it at 6,700. I just don't think it's necessary to save salary like that in this spot. Garrett's biggest issue is going to be righty power, 180 X ISO. That's going to be tough sledding for Trey Turner, Alec Boehm, Real Muto, Castellanos. I'm a little nervous here for Braxton Garrett. I'm half the field. I do think his 14% ownership is correct. Like, I think he should be right at that number for ownership, but I am a little bit lighter here. Time to have the real conversation. If every pitcher was 9K today, my top two plays would be Peralta, Nola. Let's talk about how I have more Marlins than any other team today. And again, it's just a symptom of what the slate is. 4 games. We've got the most owned pitcher here at 8K for Nola. He's underpriced. It's causing more ownership, which is also causing me to get to Miami. We have them 5th in top stack at 12%. I have them 2nd in top stack at 13.9. Again, it seems far away, 3 ranking spots. We're talking about 1.8%. Just cut it in half. Add 0.9, call it 13. Everybody's going to be fine with that number. I'm still fine getting to the Marlins. So, 9% owned, 7th of the 8 teams, going up against a guy that is in half of the lineup, which I don't think is crazy. I'm just going to get to more Miami and hope that they can hang on and do something with the power. There's a lot of power on this Miami Marlins team. Luis Arias certainly doesn't have it, but he does have an MPE in the leadoff spot, always going to be appealing, and he doesn't strike out that much. So we're hoping that he gets on. Soler, massive power. Josh Bell has real power. Chisholm, Berger, Sanchez, big power. They have 4 guys in their lineup today projected with ISOs north of 200 against righties. Is this going to be a fun game? No, not so much. But this is what I've got my eye on for today. I am very interested in the Marlins because of Aaron Nola's ownership. This will be the stand that I take on the relatively low-owned team here for today. Give me Aaron Nola a little bit, but give me way more of the Miami Marlins. In terms of the Phillies here against Braxton Garrett, they are the number one team in the top stack tool. They're the number one team in my top stack tool as well, but they are not cost effective. 7th in value for us, 7th in value for me, 2nd in ownership at 15%. They're just going to be owned over their stack score because their top stack odds match their ownership and they're not a good value. So I'm going to be a little bit lighter on the Phillies. I have 6 stacks, 9%. I'm very happy to get to someone like Trey Turner. You're limited in shortstops. He will always look good. But getting to like outfielders from the Phillies when they're already pulling ownership, that's just where I'm going to have so much less. Like Nick Castellanos, for example, just so easy to get away from him. If Johan Rojas is 3K and 16% owned in the 9-hole, I have 1%. I can see why I don't have Phillies ownership. So as I rank this game, it is Nola 1 for sure. But then it's Marlins 2, Phillies bats 3, Braxton Garrett 4. I like this game though, man. I really do. Whenever you get these extreme ownership numbers, you just create situations of cleaner paths to the top. And that's what I'm seeing here for the Marlins. It's not going to be like, I don't want to wait till 8 o'clock again to do this junk, but that is likely where I'm at. Marlins, Blue Jays, Twins, my 3 most exposed teams. Freddie Peralta, Zach Gallen, my 2 premier priorities for pitching. Lots of alliteration on that one too. Guys, hit me with questions. It's only 10:38. We're not going to have the NFL show for another 22 minutes. I'm going to stick around for a couple minutes until you guys run out of questions. 240 people here. Make sure you're hitting that like button too. That helps. How many Marlin stacks is too many in 150? No, there is no answer. There is no answer. I will not have any hitters against my pitchers. Just FYI. So while you could play like Jazz Chisholm against Aaron Nola, I will not. Yeah, I mean, I have 46. How much Royce Lewis am I getting to? Wish I had more yesterday. I think I only had 10. 15%. DK Tears. I think I can do that. Let me look. Do I still have it? I do. Give me 1 second. I got to grab the Tears file. Most exposed hitter. Let's find out. Jazz Chisholm, 37%. Most exposed one-off is Junior Caminero. All right, let me grab this tiers salary file. I also need the code from DraftKings. 525, I looked at DraftKings outs props earlier today, and the one downside to doing that is that it immediately signs you out of the sports or of the DFS side of it all. Okay, so MLB. We'll grab tiers. 2K to first for tiers today? I might actually enter that. Why not? All right. Here's MLB DraftKings. Boom. This. It's been a while since I've had to run this tiers thing. Okay. Looks like I got it. Now I need to try to remember what my prompt is for running tiers. Is it just that? think I'm going to have this. It's been so long, guys. Thanks for the super chat, too, Ace of Spade. Oh, okay. Looks like it's done. It's been so long. We got it? We got it. Here we go. All right. Tiers for today on DraftKings. Tier 1. Looking like Corbin Carroll is my number 1 guy. Trey Turner close. Honestly, that whole tier is pretty tight. Tier 2, Jazz Chisholm is my number 1 guy. I would be fine going that direction. Tier 3 is going to be either Yelich or Vlad. Based on the previous picks, it wouldn't really have anything to do with those top couple guys. Tier 4, man, really flat. Springer, Soler, Polanco are the top 3 guys. I guess if you don't go to Yelich in Tier 3 and you do go to Vlad, it'd be a great pairing for Springer in Tier 4. Tier 5 is definitely not Josh Jung. I mean, really, anyone from Julien, Lowe, Kepler, Bohm, Real Muto works. So in Tier 5, you're skipping Berger, Paredes, and Jung, and you're kind of just stacking with whatever you had 1 through 4. And then for Tier 6, it's either going to be Tommy Pham or Carlos Santana. Travis, I don't dictate it, so it's whatever shows up. But definitely, I won't nothing lower than a 4-man primary. That much I can tell you. But other than that, I don't set any like qualifications for getting to any of the other stacks. I just let the rest of the sim handle it. But I won't. At a minimum, every lineup has a 4-man stack in it, or 5. Well, there we go, folks. We took a lap through tiers. We've got these games coming up in a couple hours. Lock is at 3:08, so don't miss that. We will be back here tomorrow for a strategy show. Probably. If for some reason there's only 1 game tomorrow, I would imagine I'm not doing this. Maybe I won't even know what to say. But we could get lucky. We could have 4 games tomorrow. Maybe we'll get that lucky. Jazz Chisholm isn't that good. Okay. 2 for 25 against Nola. Again, I mentioned this earlier, but luckily for me, I don't have to worry about getting points for the past. I actually get to get points for today's game. And him being 2 for 25 against Aaron Nola might be the most meaningless thing ever. It'd be like saying I win GPPs when I eat breakfast in the morning. Wouldn't matter at all. What's my contest choice today? Whatever the relay through, whatever the $15 big one is on DK. I guess the relay through. Let's see. Is that what it is today? Is it a relay throw or does it have like a funny postseason name? Nope, it's just the relay throw. Dope. Yeah, I'll be in the relay throw. Trying to get 50K in my pocket. That's the plan. Yeah. Like, I think there's probably something to chronicling guys based on pitch mixes and comparable pitching, like, you know, release points and spins and stuff, but that's not what we're talking about here. Did I eat breakfast today? I did. And I didn't yesterday. So maybe that is what's going to get me. I'll tell you what, if I ship the relay throw today, best believe I'm stuffing my stupid face with breakfast every morning. Slick, I finished 6th yesterday. Why would I ask Greg Maddux? How about I ask people that actually know the answer? It's not a real thing, but thank you. It's not a measurable thing. Let me be clear. Do I think that some people don't enjoy facing other guys and have bigger problems? Absolutely. Do I think that it is a thing like that? It is non-quantifiable and meaningless for all exercises that we are talking about right now. Do I think it exists? Yes. Can you measure it? No. Therefore, meaningless. meaningless. But boy, oh boy, do I not give a shit what Greg Maddux thinks about statistics. Not in the slightest bit. Not in the slightest bit. I basically wouldn't want to hear just about every other past player talk about it. Turn on any channel. Turn on ESPN. Turn on Fox Sports. There's plenty of past athletes on there talking just straight gibberish, bullshit, nonsense words that come out of their mouths because they have no idea what they're talking about. It's crazy. The last thing that I want to do is go to an athlete. Jason and Chloe, I have a question. How do you feel MLB DFS changes in the postseason? I think I know how you're asking that question. I'll be honest. I don't like in situations like this for 4-gamers. I don't think it's really all that different than any other 4-gamer, other than you're going to see more. You're going to play to that specific game a little bit more than you would in a regular season matchup. Like you're going to be more tactical late than you would on just like a random Tuesday in a series. So I wouldn't really like for this. I don't make any changes to my process. I'm not an MLB showdown guy or anything like that. So this might be the last MLB slate that I play today. Maybe I'd play tomorrow if it's got 3 games, but the more likely scenario is that I'm not playing at all. Slick. Like you're just going to be more. I like using the word tactical in that spot. You're just going to be more likely to like swap guys out and bring in lefties and do all of that extra stuff where guys are getting subbed out, and so much of that is tough to predict. You know, you're discounting plate appearances before at bats and stuff. It's to me just not as appealing. So for me, I don't make any changes other than simply not playing any longer. Do I feel pitching is less important in the postseason? Not necessarily. It depends who's pitching. Because I think you're just as likely to see a good guy stay out there a bit. Like, what game in the series matters a little bit more? Has that guy pitched? What's the rest look like? There's a little bit more. You kind of just got to dig into things that you don't have answers to, and that's rarely fun to me. Tim, I might not have a strategy video. Well, I'll kind of have a strategy video. I'm going to be re-recording every NBA video that we have that like explains NBA. So there's like 7 of them, like tournament strategy, cash strategy, all of the tools like projections and ownership and boom bust. I'm going to have those all re-recorded before the season starts. Let's see. What else do we got? I think we're good. 10:49. We hung on long enough. Yeah, NBA process show's coming up soon, baby. Get ready for it. Get ready for it. But for now, I'm out of here. I hope I see you guys tomorrow morning. But it's not out of the realm of possibility that Texas, Minnesota, Arizona, and Philly all win today. And then I'm not going to be here because there ain't going to be no baseball tomorrow. But I hope that we get... I want all 4 teams that won yesterday to lose today so that we can get another 4-game slate with the most like ridiculous everybody needs to win stuff going on tomorrow. So let's have some fun. I'll talk to you guys a little bit later. Enjoy yourselves. Have some fun. Win some money. I'll allow you guys to get second. But once again, I'm coming for that number 1 spot. Peace.